So our next one is from an Australian company. We've got Jeff Yu from Travel by Bit, and Travel by Bit are doing some awesome stuff in Australia. They've got a lot of merchants, and they're supporting them to take Bitcoin and Lightning payment, as well as being the travel partner for the conference. So here's Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I work for a company called Travel by Bit. We're based in Australia. So before I start, I want to basically say that this talk will be a little bit different than what you guys have been experiencing for the past day and a half, because the nature of our project is also a bit different. We are more about bringing Bitcoin to people in a more visible way. So I'm really thankful that there's a lot of smart people in the room that is building things on the infrastructure layer and the protocol layer. And our applications is basically building things that makes Bitcoin more digestible to sort of like future coiners or newbies and stuff like that. So the sort of like agenda today is basically speaking of our experience of Travel by Bit, what it's like operating a Lightning Network, POS network, and how and why we do it, and the challenge that we face and what's coming up next. So a little bit about me. So I guess most of you here don't know who I am, but that's me on Twitter. I am a Bitcoin geek, really big maximalist. I sort of like play around with the Bitcoin space for a couple of years and found a bit hobby projects, but right now I'm working as the head of product at Travel by Bit. That's my graduation cap, by the way. So what is Travel by Bit? So in case of anyone doesn't know, we are basically a travel company that you can book your flights and hotels with and pay in Bitcoin or traditional fiat currencies. So, and also we are also known for operating a merchant POS network, something like this. So this is what our merchant has. We operate a merchant in almost over 400 locations in Australia, and our company ethos is always about driving adoption, making educational efforts to sort of educate people what Bitcoin is, what Bitcoin isn't, and stuff like that, and hopefully guide them through the process and bring them to more Bitcoin services and on a deeper level to understand what the technology can do and what it basically implies. So over the past 2 years, we've expanded our merchant networks from just small cafes and restaurants, we got car washes and all this kind of stuff, to convention centers working with more corporate level. We got large Australian grocery chains as well, and I think you probably see it in a couple of crypto news that we have a major airport that we announced last year that took basically Bitcoin Lightning payments. So you can see that this is an actual shot of the airport. So every time I travel out from Brisbane, I would just wait for this thing to come out. It's like a 24/7 thing that goes on, and has like Bitcoin logo showing up to like over 3 million travelers that passes through Brisbane Airport each year. It's pretty cool. So that's me buying something over the Lightning Network at Brisbane Airport a couple of months ago. I did that on the way here as well. So another thing we have is a digital currency town. So we partner with local communities and local businesses to initiate projects like this, so that the whole town is a town that is basically a tourist town in the first place. So what they did was that they approached us, Gordon, which is the local guy over there that initiated the whole thing, brilliant guy, started to go around businesses and pitching the idea that, hey, we should make this town a Bitcoin-friendly town, which they did. So you can snorkel there, you can play golf or whatever, and all pay in Bitcoin. The main thing about this is that it drives a lot of eyes to the Bitcoin. So people that weren't interested in Bitcoin or think it's a fad would now look at Bitcoin as a different idea, because now you have the airport, you have basically a tourist town just right next to the Great Barrier Reef that you can pay everything in Bitcoin. It's basically a big improvement of this kind of mystical magic internet money that people not necessarily know about or care about and see too much. Again, this is all bringing visibility of Bitcoin to more people. So, and yes, we do have a pharmacy that can legally buy drugs with Bitcoin in Australia. That's me buying drugs. Okay, anyway, so our POS works very simply. A user can pay with any Bitcoin or Lightning wallets. The merchant basically presents them with a QR code, and the user pays it, bam, and the merchant gets paid, and they can either keep it in Bitcoin, or can keep it in fiat, or can split it halfway, anything basically they want. And this is Daniel Alexius is founder of Living with Satoshi. We work very closely with him. So sometime in, I would say May last year, we partnered up with the Wallet Satoshi team to roll out Lightning payments to all 400 of our merchants, including Brisbane Airport. So you can see people start using it, paying duty-free coffee and stuff at the airport, which is pretty cool. I think it was, we were pretty early, like we were just like a couple of months after the mainnet went live, we were like rolling this Lightning thing out to everyone, and people was like saying, oh, this thing won't work, reckless and stuff like that. But what is even more cool is that, luckily it worked, by the way. So what is even cooler from a UX perspective is that all of our invoices, the Bolt 11 invoices, are backwards compatible with the standard Bitcoin BIP21 URIs. So what that means is that the same QR code invoice can be detected and paid by both a Bitcoin wallet or Lightning wallet. And if you pay with a wallet that supports both, you get an option. So this is the Eclair wallet that you can choose to pay on-chain and off-chain. If you have like a Lightning-only wallet, it will only read the Lightning part. That's basically how that works. So we got a lot of good feedback, not just from the users, but also from the merchants' perspective, because right now they have like one less option to let the user pick. Do you want to pick Bitcoin or Lightning, or it's Lightning Bitcoin and stuff like that? So it basically solves that UX problem, closes that gap, and we're really happy that more wallets adopted this standard in the coming months. And today, I think most Lightning wallets are able to read the Bolt 11 BIP21 URIs. So how and why do we do it? So we get asked the question a lot. We are a travel company, why are we doing the merchant thing? Firstly, because we are focusing on education at first. Like, we are, the company basically, me, our CEO Caleb is somewhere here. So we are all very big Bitcoin geeks, and we want to sort of spread this adoption of Bitcoin and awareness to more people. So we do run meetups, and that photo is one of our meetups that we run in Australia. And we also support similar meetups throughout the whole Australia, whereby people are sort of like interacting face-to-face with people that are new. So this is Caleb again, our CEO, shielding Bitcoin in a TEDx event last year. We're pretty stoked that a Bitcoin focus TED Talk was actually approved, and like we got so many good feedbacks and people starting asking questions, people that are completely new to the ecosystem starting to get interested. So things like this are really cool. I'm still really stoked that that slide actually went up. So at all these events, we get asked a lot of funny questions, but I think it's important for us to address them all. So one of the newbie questions that we get asked a lot is that, hey, if Bitcoin is money, why can't I spend it, and kind of stuff like that. Although like we all here know that it's a very misguided theory because Gresham's law and stuff like that. So instead of defending Bitcoin by introducing them to like, hey, low time preference and all this kind of stuff, it's better to just get them, hey, Brisbane Airport and a couple hundred businesses and thousands of online merchants across the world takes Bitcoin. What do you say about that? And then when they click in the mind that, hey, this thing is real, it's no longer magic internet money, then a touch point has been established, and it's easier to then educate them in stages, okay, what this means and stuff like that, moving forward. Yeah, I do that all the time with my friends and family, by the way. So much like when you're first introduced to swimming when you're a kid, you start at the kiddie pool. When you're ready, you work your way up to the adult pool. So, like bringing a newbie into Bitcoin is a very delicate and a job that we take very high responsibility of, because if you're throwing people right into the adult pool when they don't know how to swim, it's a good way of scaring them away from swimming for their whole life, right? So the second question, when they understand that, hey, the technology can be used, I see it being used everywhere, big people accept it and stuff like that, they always ask us, hey, should I buy Bitcoin now? And sometimes this question gets asked a lot. Like we get the same people coming to the third and fourth and fifth meetup asking the same question. I was like, didn't I tell you to buy Bitcoin the last time? The price went down, and it's like, oh, I'm not too sure. So it took us a while to figure out that when people ask this question, should I buy Bitcoin now? Usually we just think that, oh, if they're asking this, that means they're not ready yet. But we realized that when they ask this question, what they're actually looking for is an assurance that, hey, if I put financial commitment into this thing, I won't get screwed, right? So to us, it's a very simple kind of thing. Yes, definitely, stack sets. Why the hell not? But to them, a yes or no isn't a very good answer. So assuring them by telling them, hey, buy this thing is no risky financial advice, isn't a very good way to get them feel comfortable. But instead, I believe that we should introduce more risk-averse way for people to stack sets, right? So that's why companies like Lolly and all this kind of like stacking sets, earning Bitcoin concept is actually a good way to introduce newbies into Bitcoin, because right now you can actually spread or get them to earn Bitcoin without changing their normal behavior of like spending or stuff like that. So in our travel side, we do have a feature, but most people don't know, is that you can pay in Bitcoin or fiat, right? And you can also earn sats. So our sats back program is actually powered by Lightning as well. So you can withdraw your sats that you earn via to an on-chain address or with a Lightning invoice. So why we believe that stack sats is really important? Because like, if you introduce something to someone to Bitcoin and you guide them through the whole flow of going through the rabbit hole, I have the belief that if they own a little bit of Bitcoin through that phase, it makes the fall even more exciting, right? So if you don't own any Bitcoin, you're like, oh, I read this about Bitcoin thing, and then a couple of months later, you forget about it. But if you have something that, hey, I have like $10 of Bitcoin somewhere, and then right now I see news about this kind of thing, and I'm like keeping closer attention to it, so you basically keep them in the loop more, sort of like better and stuff like that. So of course there's challenges. We're not shy to share the things that we face and the challenges. So obviously the first thing is that we are still in the accumulation phase. So this is a great chart, a brilliant chart by Murat. Follow him on Twitter. It says that there is a long time to go before Bitcoin reaches a widespread medium of exchange. So we are right now somewhere at greater safety and greater education. And just nice, that's what we do. So Travel by Bit, we do a lot of education. So we send users to sites to learn more about deeper knowledge about if you want to set up nodes. Yes, we can point you to someone and stuff like that. And I think Stefan has a very good website called Ministry of Nodes. And we're thinking of like, maybe we can do something around that, but let's talk sometime. And even so, there are people actually spending Bitcoin still. This is a chart of usage for all the transactions on Travel by Bit's platform. So majority if you count number of transactions, majority actually paid in Lightning, which is interesting because that's kind of what we predicted, Lightning are made for small payments. But for currency by value, Bitcoin on-chain dominates the most. It's pretty much all of them. There's kind of like some shitcoins here and there, but I can't ignore them because it's so small. This basically tells you that, yes, there is a community that spends Bitcoin, but they are more of the kind of advanced user. So we want to sort of bridge that gap between the information asymmetry between the Bitcoiners and the pre-coiners. That's what we're all about. So all of our new merchants, right? So we get merchants requests all the time, but we can't accommodate to all of them because there's no point having so many merchants where there's no one supporting network down the line because they will just drop off eventually. So most of the new merchants that we accept into our network right now are probably basically run and initiated by community themselves. There's a passionate group community. So going back to the crypto town that I showed an example earlier. So Gordon is the guy that initiated the whole thing and worked with us. So he has like schools and roadshows and stuff like that, teaching people Bitcoin, sharing, sending sets around, and even people making up signs, bringing to the school fair, and shops making up their own signs that takes Bitcoin. And we recently found that that's actually an interesting thing. There's this mini circular economy that we always dream about, but it's actually already happening there. Like employees on the store that takes Bitcoin was actually spending a sets on another Bitcoin businesses and or donating somehow to some school charity, which is really cool. So what's next for us? So we're always thinking, what can we do for the Lightning Network? So NFC is definitely a thing. So that's the wallet Satoshi wallet. That's on the left is a Travel by Bit POS with the NFC emulator. So NFC is something that we try to make payment more seamless. So you can see Lightning is pretty lightning fast. So why do we make it faster? Because we always want to make sure that we are experimenting on the forefront, trialing new stuff. So NFC is something that we have already enabled to all our merchant network. It's probably you can't use it. It's because the merchant has to have an NFC-enabled device. So our stand is that any merchant in our network that has an NFC-enabled device, we can roll this update to you like right now, right away. So another thing is that right now all our merchants relies on our node to accept the payments. So that's something that we want to sort of move them across to. So right now they are still in the kiddie pool. We take care of all the stuff, the channel management, and blah, blah, blah. But we hope that one day they can migrate to their own node and sort of accepting payments and validate themselves without relying on a third party. Because this is actually good, not just in terms of like you're relying on a third party, but also preserving your transaction privacy as well. So I'm guessing there's a lot of companies and Bitcoin businesses today that are building solutions to make running nodes easier. Even Udi's presentation yesterday was saying that you can run nodes using AV Core on like a unused mobile phone and chuck it somewhere in your drawer in your house. So it's something that as a Bitcoin geek I really want more people to see, like as a merchant, run your own node. And this is also how we can spread the merchant initiatives worldwide. So at the moment, our merchant is only in Australia, but we hope that with everyone's effort and collaboration, we can bring more businesses and more people to understand that, hey, if we want to sort of grow Bitcoin, make it more visible, maybe we should start with ourselves, because adoption is a long game, it's a marathon, but it starts somewhere. So other than telling your friends and family, hey, buy Bitcoin, you can either introduce them to sites that they can stack sats at a little bit Bitcoin in a more risk-averse way, and also help out your local bar or something like that, spin out a BTC-based server node, or help them start accepting Bitcoin, even though no one uses it. The educational value that it's there, it's far more great. It's hard to quantify, but it's actually very priceless. That's actually worth it. So that's it. That's my presentation on Travel by Bit and what's our experience running the merchant network. We'll open up to questions. Thank you. Sorry.
Hey, in the circular economy in this city that you described, are prices quoted in Bitcoin or in Satoshis, or are they still in AUD and converted at
Yeah,
the live exchange rate?
Yeah, good question. Right now it's all in fiat. So because like the merchant themselves, that the cafe, the owner accepts Bitcoin, but most of the staff aren't really savvy as well. So you can't. It depends on how fast the stuff rotates. They can't say that coffee costs 0.002 Bitcoin. It's just like whatever's on the menu, just type it in the POS. But that's something that I really hope to see. That some merchants would start denominating their coffee or something small in Bitcoin, because it won't be like all of their sales volume is going to be a couple of coffees a day or something like that. But the fact that you can start to get people used to pricing things in Bitcoin, I think that will change a bit of mindset of a lot of people. Yeah. Any more questions? If not, thank you.